Aries, this is your weekly tarot card reading from Born Without Boundaries Tarot. It is for Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign. And I'm happy to tell you, based on the astrology, guys, you have a really beautiful week ahead. Not just beautiful, actually, it's powerful. It's powerful, it's strong, and it's progressive. And I'm going to get into the charts. Remember, Aries, that there's always an extended reading, which I invite you to join me. The links to that extended reading are right below in the description box, top of the description box. I will also pin them to the very top of the comment section so it's easy for you to find. You also have the choice to join the channel memberships. The Unbound membership here on Born Without Boundaries Tarot gets you unlimited access to all the extended readings, all the exclusive content, as well as all the channel perks. So consider it. Remember, I don't mark these guys as like a timestamp. It's not really about the timestamp. The astrology is definitely time specific, and the astrology that we'll go through will tell us when the energy set off and when the pebble dropped in the pond. And the ripples, well, that just determines like where you are in your life and when it reaches you, or your magnetism and how quickly it reaches you. So there's so many different things. So if you see this 6 months from now, well, Aries, that's when it's supposed to come to you. Please remember to subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell so that you know when I upload your favorite content. Aries content comes out every single Thursday at 9 a.m. And I do a daily tarot card reading that I would love for you to join me for. It's on my second YouTube channel, Astrology Motivation. I'll attach the link above. Why do I love the astrology so much? Let's get into it. Mars is in a really beautiful position, actually, because Mars is trine to Saturn in Aquarius, which is a really good spot. It kind of tells me that you're getting serious about or committing to something socially, whether this is work or a job or just how you're building out into the world. Maybe my friend's in Aries, she just bought a house. You know, like you're signing contracts, you're getting things done, you're establishing yourself within your community, and you're figuring out how to make things work out for you. That's a really harmonious position right now this week. And then we have Mars sextile to Chiron, which is in your first house, which means you are settling in and figuring out how to use your experiences and your injuries from the past to be able to make it useful into applying it to your progress now. And since Mars is in Gemini, then maybe it's just because you're relating or able to relate and use those experiences that you've been through to discuss and talk to people and relate to them and become more compassionate. The troublesome one is the square to Venus, which is both troublesome and productive, in that squares are challenges that make us stronger. Venus right now is in detriment in Virgo, and Virgo is your 6th house, which is the house of health and healing. So maybe, just maybe, there's been some overindulgences that you've had in your life in terms of drinking too much, eating too much sugar, too much meat, whatever. Like, Venus loves to overindulge, but when she's in Virgo, that shit catches up to her. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of when she steps on the scale and is like, oh shit. And I am not in any way, shape, or form body shaming. This is all just metaphor. But it's kind of like when it comes back to you, oh wow. So these are the ways that I've kind of overindulged. Yeah. So it could just be those are challenging you right now. They're not gonna hurt you. They're not gonna harm you. They're gonna make you uncomfortable enough to realize I gotta brush the dirt off of me. I gotta like dust this up a little bit. I gotta freshen up a little bit. Yeah, maybe I haven't been taking care of myself well enough. And if you've been extremely busy, then that makes sense. That makes sense. It just tells me that ultimately you've been working yourself to the bone, and there are some things that you have to start maintaining again. But that's overall, I think, extremely productive energy. This in front of me tells me that you are future focused because you've learned from the past, and that supports that beautiful sextile between Mars and Chiron right now, as well as Porcupine. And Porcupine is an interesting energy. Porcupine is sort of that... I don't know, God, right? Porcupine is that little guy who kind of... He's ready for the future. He's interested in the future, but he's also very defensive. And sometimes he keeps people at bay or away from him at a distance unknowingly or unwittingly because of that defensiveness. Learn from the past. So there's something here that you are defending yourself against, or at least not being defensive of, but you're a little wary. You're a little wary of something because you're not repeating this from the past. So what or who is it, Aries? And I would love to know in the comments below. What or who is this person that you're wary of? And why the f are you hanging out with this person or in this situation? If you know that you've learned from the past that this is not a good situation, what the hell are you doing here? What the hell are you doing with that? I would love to know. And I will respond. Calling you out on your shit. Because the truth is this. The cards are confirming, Aries. Stop. Because you know this is not good. You know that this person isn't worth your time. You know that this situation is something that you have to defend. If that's what it is, then why even bother? Why even bother? Oh, God damn. Y'all about to give me a headache. Time for a deep dive. You know what this is, right? But Michelle, I love him. But Michelle, I love her. But I love it. But I love it. Okay. This is a really good week to ask why. You'll get your answers. If you're really brave and you really want to fight the battle that you should be fighting, ask those questions. Why? Why is this what I consider love? Why is this what I consider indulgence? Why is this what I consider decadence? Because that's what this is. This is Libran energy. This is Libran energy, and it's almost like you're in deep. You're in deep. And it's not a good enough reason to hurt yourself. But I do believe you're starting to realize that that's exactly what this is. It's not with the intent to hurt yourself. It's with the intent to give yourself pleasure. But pleasure and joy are very different things. And pleasure and happiness are very different things. Pleasure is a monkey on your back, something that you're always going to be chasing after. It will not last long. It spikes high and then it crashes low really quickly. That's what pleasure is. It's like the dragon you're always chasing. But happiness and joy are very different. They're reliable. They're consistent. They're connected. Pleasure is almost disconnecting in a way because it's a very internal experience, whereas happiness is a shared experience. It's a connectivity. And definitely joy. Joy is the highest vibration. I read a study once, Aries, that said joy is actually a higher vibration than love. So it's kind of that nirvana aspect of being in actual bliss. That's what joy is. And so I think this is really a time for you to reflect on, is this making me happy or is it giving me pleasure? And why am I prioritizing pleasure? Because I know that I've been in deep before. How do I say this plainly? This is an X. Mercury retrograde has come back around. And it does, and I knew it. I knew it because Mercury is in opposition to Jupiter. There's going to be so much hot air bullshit coming at you. And it's going to sound good, but come on. You know damn well you have been here before. And you should be wary. Because that motherfucker don't have any good intentions towards you now that they had in the past, and they have not changed. And I'm so glad you came back around and watched this video. And I want you to share this video with your friends who you know need the same warning. And it's actually not a warning. It's a confirmation. Aries, this is a confirmation for you. Because what this is telling me is you already know this. And there might be a little struggle here. Oh, maybe I should give somebody another chance. Based on what? Have they changed? You know, you learned this. This isn't suspicion. This is experience. Very different. Very different. So let's talk about the differences, right? Let's talk about in celebration of the duality, because Mars is now in dualistic Gemini, and it is squared to its ultimate dual, its ultimate other, which is Venus. Let's talk about the duality. Pleasure and joy, not the same things. Suspicion and experience, not the same things. You have to understand that you already know. And that the reason why you're defensive is because you know you have to be defensive. Now, this may not be a romantic situation for you, but it sure as hell is a situation that you are romanticizing. And what does romanticizing mean? It means idealism, idealistic. You're only seeing the positive. And you know what that means? You're unbalanced, because everything has its shadow. And if you have to ignore the shadow, you're ignoring a whole half of somebody or a whole half of a situation. And if you have to do that, then you're fooling yourself. You're wary here, and you should be. Now let's go on to the second meaning of this reading, because it could very well be because of what you've learned from the past. You are defensive, you are curious, you want to know, you want to understand, you're ready to open yourself back up again, but you are defensive, and I would still say rightfully so, but this could be a new opportunity in love, romance, or happiness, not pleasure. This could even be you exerting a whole hell of a lot of self-control, because I know before I've done this. I've learned it, I know it well, and so I have to stay away from the buffet table, or I have to stay away from the party, because I can't party like I used to when I was 19, I'm 50, or I have to stay away from the third glass of wine, or I have to stay away from this text that just came in. But ultimately, you would be right. And there I would say, good on you, Aries, because you are now experiencing a leveling up of sorts. A growth in your lifetime where you are really kind of feeling more established. And that is that harmonious trine between Mars and Saturn, which can get anything done and figure anything out. And that's what you're doing. It's like, wow, you're growing up. You're growing up. The things that used to trigger you or impact you or get to you don't, because you see them for what they are. So this is actually a very beautiful week for many of you, most of you, right? And moving on to the third, or maybe in between version of this reading, of the two readings that I've already told you about. This is a sense of you might be a little bit defensive, especially when it comes to romance this week. Why? Because you've been through some shit before. I will say this to you right now, and I'm sorry if I just yelled in your ear. I'm getting used to this microphone, and it's tough for me. If this is an ex, you shouldn't even be in the same room with them. Get the fuck out of that room. Okay? You are absolutely correct with all your red flags. Get out of the room. You're not supposed to be there. They're not supposed to be in your life. Why the hell are you even there? But if this is somebody new, which for many of you it very well could be, I will tell you right now, this is less of true love coming into your life than it is of love starting to slowly come back into your life to help you heal the relationship you have with love itself. Venus is in detriment right now. It's not the best time to meet somebody. But it is the best time to heal those parts of who you are that need to be healed so that you are ready to be really loved. And the fact that this is happening, and this is what's in queue for your experience this week, tells me that really that's what's coming into your life. If I looked into the future, I could probably tell when it would be the best time, when things would get really heated and romantic. Things will be really heated right now. Absolutely. And they will be very decadent, indulgent. Mars square Venus is very like, we fight, then we fuck. We fight, then we fuck. You know, but when do we ever get along? When do we ever support each other? I know that's a very exciting energy, but is it valuable? I know it gives pleasure, but does it give joy? And so these experiences that you're having, I think you're starting to realize these are pleasuring me, but they're not impressing me because I know what they are and they never go far. And this is why I have no doubt you will be able to make exceptional decisions this week because you have this wisdom. You have this wisdom, and I'm really glad for it. Listen, I don't judge nobody. Have fun. As long as you can keep it in the context that it deserves. I believe that in the past, you have mistaken pleasure for happiness and sexual arousal for actual compatibility. And those two things are not the same. Sexual compatibility or arousal, eroticism, lust, does not mean the two of you are compatible. And it does not mean that you're capable of loving each other, which is connecting with each other unconditionally. Just because, and to translate this into non-romantic sexual context, just because you're psyched that you won the job doesn't mean the job is actually going to give you the grounding and the footing and the leg up that you deserve and that you desire. So put it into context here. It's fun to win battles. It's fun to be in fights. It's exciting, but it's not valuable. There's no valuable beyond that rush that you will inevitably control you instead of you controlling it, because you will have to keep chasing it like an addict, right? And I'm not saying that that's what any of you are struggling with, but that's what pleasure does to you. You'll never get enough of pleasure because it never filled you up to begin with. In fact, it drains you. Pleasure takes, it drains you. Happiness gives, it nurtures you. So this is really kind of the discussion you're in with yourself right now in terms of these situations in your life that you see yourself facing. And because of the Mercury retrograde, you will see yourself facing. You will see yourself looking at old battles that you didn't win before because you didn't know what you know now. But here they are again, and you are meant to do them differently based on what you've learned and that you know better. And yes, because you are trine to Saturn, you are setting yourself up for a karmic reaction in the future. What do you want your future to be? You know what your past looked like. You know the choices the choices at hand. What do you want your future to look like? You decide that right now. You decide what you want your future to look like. Do you want it to look like what you went through in the past? Then don't make the same mistakes. It's all right there for you. Bring love into the situation. This is Aquarius energy. This is friendship. You know, this is love of your community, love of your friends, love of being together, being near people. It's saying that this very tempting situation is going to be a whole hell of a lot easier to deal with if you surround yourself by people who you actually love, who you know love you, who you know take care of you, who you know are on your side. And as a support system, as a team, if you have that fulfillment of your community, Aries, you will not feel desperate enough to go back to decisions you know are going to hurt you. And if you go back to decisions, I don't think many of you are, but if you go back to decisions that you know are going to hurt you, I could tell you, it's going to fail anyway. The situation, the job, the relationship, it's going to fail. It's not going to last. And then you're just going to be stuck with unnecessary pain and hurt. It's not going to get you anywhere. You're legitimately wasting your energy. Now, the end of a tough cycle approaches. This is Capricorn energy. I think this is like making peace with your past. It's also realizing the truth of something and being able to finally accept the truth of something. It's also a sense of establishing yourself in your community and saying, I'm committing myself to my community. I'm committing myself to this obligation because I want to help it grow and I want to help it build. And there's one more interpretation of this, and it's got to do with a potential romance. I hope you guys will join me for the extended video. The link is below. I'll see you there.